Welcome along to Thursday, the 23rd of May. It's, of course, time for Super League Raw news and update from around the grounds. We're just, of course, 24 hours away from round number 12 starting in the Betfred Super League. The big news, of course, we were discussing this on Super League Raw Weekly this week, was, of course, the announcement that Mr. Cartwright will be going to Hull FC from 2025. That's right. This is the man, in case you missed Super League Raw Weekly. John Cartwright finished his playing career. Of course, he's been an Origin player. He's represented his country as a player. He was awarded the Australian Sports Medal in the year 2000. In 2001, he was the assistant to Ricky Stewart, the Sydney Roosters, before taking up a USA coaching role against the Australians in 2004. In 2007, he was the inaugural Gold Coast Titans coach. That's right, the first ever coach of the newly formed Gold Coast Titans, where he stayed until 2015. And as you can see there, within 2 seasons, he got them into the playoffs. That is no mean feat. In 2015, he went as the assistant coach to the North Queensland Cowboys, and that was the year that they won the NRL Championship. And in 2020, of course, he became the assistant coach at Brisbane Broncos last year, coming runners-up. He's also the assistant coach to the New South Wales Origin side under Madge Maguire. Simon Griggs, of course, is currently in situ at Hull FC. He's been talking about the appointment, and let's hear from the man himself.
John, yeah, I'm sure it will in the coming days and weeks, but a wealth of experience behind him, and that was the thought, I think, from the off, was just to get an experienced coach, and they've landed that.
What's Richie said about the vision that he's hoping John will bring to the club?
I think just his experience. I'll let Richard speak for Richard, but yeah, just generally his experience and leadership is something that, a club with a young squad, a changing squad, is what they're after. So yeah, they think they got the man.
As you mentioned earlier, how impressed are you with the track record that he's got, particularly in the last 10 years as an assistant in the NRL?
Well, it's been further than that, hasn't it? He's coached at a lot of clubs. He's obviously sampled a lot of different ways of doing things, and he'll have picked up loads along that journey there. And currently at Brisbane, who are one of the strongest teams in that comp at the moment. So all his experiences and his connections around the game over there will be beneficial for us.
He's got to, we've spoken at length about, where the club sits at the moment, as far as, probably the last 8 years as well. I know how successful they have been in the past and what a big name they are in the game, and everyone who follows rugby league in Australia knows who Hull FC is. But unfortunately, they haven't had the success that they've been used to, or that all their fans crave for. I know it's a mad rugby league town, but to sort of reinvigorate those people, you need to be winning. So, look, Richie's very passionate about bringing success back to the club. There's, when you sit in the situation that you're in at the moment, it's not one area that you need to fix. It's a whole lot of areas, but it's not a huge fix. It's improved a little in each area. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time, and I know in our game you don't get that sort of time. So it's important that we approach things pretty quickly and make those little improvements in all areas of the club that need to be made.
Obviously, every coach has got their own sort of ideologies on how footy should be played. What's yours? What can fans expect a John Cartwright style Hull FC to look like?
Well, they're going to be fit, and I'm still not saying they're not fit now. And anything I do say, is not aimed at what the side's going through at the moment. As I said, there's a lot of reasons why that can happen. They'll be fit, they'll be hungry, they'll be enjoying their footy. And if we can get those 3 things happening, that's an improvement from the word go. So the pre-season is pretty much the time you can get most of your improvement, I've found, over my experience in coaching. And like I said, I'm not sure what the boys are used to, but one thing I can guarantee all the Hull fans and supporters is that they're going to have a fit and hungry team.
So there you go, the new head coach of Hull FC going into 2025, John Cartwright, a wealth of coaching experience. We wish him well. He's got a big job on, hasn't he, to get the FC back where they should be, punching for those playoff positions at the very, very least. As it says there, like, share, comment and subscribe. Super League Raw News coming to you every Thursday, giving you the roundup of games, looking forward to the games that are coming up. We do all the hard graft for you. That full interview with John Cartwright is available on YouTube. Just put in Hull FC Official and you'll be able to see that full interview with John Cartwright. Really interesting in terms of, you know, how much he enjoyed his time at Salford, how much he enjoyed being in the UK the last time, the brand of football that we play over here, and of course his aspirations for his time at Hull FC. Have Hull FC got the right man? That's the big question. We will find out in 2025. We have got a treat coming up for you next Wednesday, free to air. It's already out to our members. They're enjoying it already. We have done our second Legends in Conversation, and here's a little snippet just for you. Right, okay. Before we start, just out of interest, you know, when you introduce yourself as Earl Crabtree, do people think you're an Earl who don't know you?
You'd be surprised, actually. I think most people either think I'm an Earl of somewhere, which I am the Earl of Huddersfield, let's be honest. But the issue is actually more rise around my name, the way it's spelled, because it's E-O-R-L.
Yeah.
And everyone's either called me Errol or Errol, which was what Thierry Alibert used to call me, Errol. And, you know, these sort of things cropped up all the time. And so much so that anyone who's got hands-free on the car, the Bluetooth, you can't ask for ring Earl Crabtree or phone Earl Crabtree. It has to be Yorl or something along those lines, because it doesn't understand the name as it's spelt like that. So it catches people out all the time.
So how many? So what we're basically saying is everybody's phone you were spelt conventionally for Bluetooth. Fair play, fair play. Right, okay. So there you go, Earl Crabtree, our latest In Conversation guest. It's a great, great conversation. He's a bit of a character, I have to say, is Mr. Crabtree. So much so, we've already lined up Legends Part 2 with Earl Crabtree, maybe later this year or next. But lots to get through there in the conversation. It flowed, really humorous. And he was very, very honest as well in his assessment of where Huddersfield Giants are at this time, which was a really interesting conversation to have as well. You know, he really was very open and very frank about, you know, the way Huddersfield are, his job, what he does, and his thoughts on the game. Well worth a watch. That is going to be uploaded to our YouTube channel and available as a podcast from next Wednesday. That's right, next Wednesday. You'll be able to get that by my reckoning. That's the 29th of May from 8 p.m. Get that in your calendar. Earl Crabtree, the Legend series, a really, really good watch. Right, Super League on its way back, of course, round number 12. This is where we left the league table. The Warriors still top of the shops, having a great season again. Are the Warriors? They are the team to beat. Then it's Saints, Wolves, Dragons, Robins and Red Devils in those top 6 places. And who can forget that the London Broncos got off and running the last time out against Hull FC. There's no doubt about it. We love rugby league. Let's get Super League back. Here we go. As it said there, rugby league, it's in your blood, isn't it? We are back, round number 12, having gone past the semi-finals of the Challenge Cup. It's back to business in Super League. The Giants, can they bounce back after that really disappointing showing in the semi-final against the Wire? They go up against the resurgent Lee Leopards. Then it's the Tigers going up against Hull FC. Of course, both of these two sides got a pretty bloody nose the last time out. If you remember, the Saints really doing a job on the Tigers, and of course, Hull FC losing in Wimbledon to London Broncos. The Saints, they go up against the Rhinos. The Dragons and the Wolves complete their trilogy in Perpignan. Red Devils go up against the Warriors, and bringing the curtain down will be the Robins going to the London Broncos. Wow, what an incredible lineup of fixtures those are. Let's review the first ones, the first ones from this weekend. Start with this one. Of course, you'd have saw this graphic had you have watched Super League Raw Weekly. Head to head, the Giants and the Leopards. The last 5 times these two have met each other, believe it or not, the Giants 3-2 up in the last 5 encounters. From a Huddersfield Giants perspective, as you can see, they went in to May with Ian Watson as coach of the month of April, Adam Swift, player of the month of April, but their form in the month of May has been pretty lackluster. It has to be said, of course, really, really poor. Of course, the end result in April was a defeat to St. Helens, and then in May, 3 defeats on the bounce now. If we include the Challenge Cups of Red Devils, Wigan Warriors and the Warrington Wolves, they're not in the best of form. They're 8th. As you can see, to attack 240, defence 229, 5-6 on. Really surprising that. Really, really surprising. As for the Lee Leopards, well, you can see it there. You know, they have been slowly but surely getting better. Some really important performances starting to build. They all started, of course, with that win, brilliant win against the Catalan Dragons at the LSV earlier in the month. So that was the end of April as well, wasn't it? Then, of course, it was the draw against Castleford. Great raps have to be given to Castleford. It was in the bag, that, for the Leopards, and Castleford came roaring back to get the all-important point. And then the last time out, arguably outstanding performance from the Leopards with that 40 points to 12 win over the Salford Red Devils. Slightly worse attack, but let's not forget they have played a game less than Huddersfield, but a decent defence. But again, we need to take into account they have played a game less than Huddersfield. 21-10 if you want to back the Lee Leopards on this one. Right, okay. It's good and it's bad news for the Huddersfield Giants going into this one. This will explain everything.
Scan results. He's gone for scans. Had to wait until a lot of swelling went down. Couldn't rush that. He's gone for scans. It's not looking great at this moment in time, but we won't know until we sort of get the results back. We'll definitely miss the next few weeks.
Is your gut feeling that it could be an extended period on the sidelines?
Yeah, from just the way that he's been speaking, the way he's been sort of talking about the physios are saying it could be. I don't want to make any sort of any guesses yet. I'm not 100%. We have to wait until them scans come back. But yeah, it's not looking great at this moment in time.
What about possible returnees for this week? Then has Chris Hill got an opportunity?
Yeah, he trained for a couple of weeks now, sort of with the side of the squad, but he trained with us for the first time then, and he looked pretty good, if I'm honest. He looked pretty good, so he's with the physios as we speak now, just checking up, seeing how he responds to that sort of first real session back. But yeah, fingers crossed he's got an opportunity to play this week.
Yeah, it's exciting. To kind of lock down another couple of years here at Huddersfield. They've been pretty loyal to me since I've been here, so excited to just get that sorted, get out of the way, and just crack on with rugby now. So as what I was saying before, we can focus now on the league, and we're not far off that top 6 spot. A bit disappointed over the last couple of weeks, but we've got a great opportunity this weekend. Like you said, against Lee. We're playing some good rugby to bounce back, so yeah, exciting times.
And do you feel there's unfinished business still with the Giants?
Yeah, definitely. Been in a final here, been in a top 4 spot, so that's what we want to build to. And like I said, we're not far off it, so we can try to get over the cup and focus on the league now and put our best foot forward.
No, there's no right time in the season is to play anyone really. I think. What I would have liked to have done was not have that week off, considering the way that we played against Salford. but you don't get to choose those weeks that you play and you don't. So what I do know is that we've had an 80-minute performance there. I was really proud of as a coach, and the players were really proud of it as well. And we worked hard to get to that point. I thought it was probably our best win of the season, and we just want to maintain that. Now, the hard part is having that turnaround where we didn't play the week later, but I'm confident that we can maintain that. Pretty much, I think sometimes during the season you need some honest truths and some really tough, direct conversations, and that's one of the ones that we've had over the last couple of weeks. We're not really in a position now to play well and lose. So I think that's why you've seen a team with a different desperation about us, but that's inspirational. What we're doing now under pressure has been impressive as a group of players, and certainly reminding me that how good they are. So I feel confident that we're going to go to Huddersfield and play well, and we need to win. It's as simple as that. It is that type of game for us, and there's nowhere to hide with that. So we'll be emotionally connected to that, and I think you should see that with our performance.
No second chances for the Lee Leopards. I think that was the message loud and clear from Adrian Lamb. Great interview that. Go over to the Lee Leopards on YouTube to get the full pre-match press conference. He talks about Tom Amon's departure from the Leopards. Other, of course, signings for the long term, the likes of Matt Davis, Gareth O'Brien remaining at the club, and his thoughts on that. Really good interview. Don't, of course, go anywhere just yet. Carry on watching the news, but it is a very, very good press conference, that one from Adrian Lamb. Of course, Adam Swift. What a massive blow that is. No Adam Swift in the 21-man squad. He's going to be out possibly for quite some time. When you consider he scored 11 tries in 10 games in Super League, he's on an 8-game try-scoring run in Super League, and that's not taking into account the fact that he's also been scoring in the quarterfinals and semi-finals of the Challenge Cup as well. So that extends how many game run he's on. He's on something like an 11-game try-scoring run now, is Adam Swift. He's one hell of a player, in great form, player of the month in April. They are going to miss him. But of course, as you look down that squad list, you'll see it right there. Number 8, Chris Hill, back for the Huddersfield Giants. That's a big one, considering that Matty English will not, of course, be playing in this one. So, yeah, a timely return there for Chris Hill. As for the Lee Leopards, there's no doubt, if you take into account, in the last 3 games, 2 of them have been very special. The win against Catalan Dragons and the win against the Salford Red Devils. I mean, if they can carry on that form, they will go to the John Smith Stadium in really, really confident mood. Gareth O'Brien back in the squad, of course. Latelli and Hardacre, you'd expect them to be the 2 centres in this one. Charnley, as you can see there, with Hanley on the other side. Will Matt Moylan be put back into the halves alongside Lachlan Lamb, or will it be Gareth O'Brien in the halves, leaving Matt Moylan at full back? That's an interesting one to watch. The front row is back. Amon, Mulhern, Ipapi, they're all back. Happy days. Kai O'Donnell, of course, will be leaving the Lee Leopards again. Will John Bateman be going to the Lee Leopards, or will he be going to Castleford Tigers or Hull FC? They just 3 teams where he could end up. We'll be looking at the Hull team in a moment, but there's no doubt about it. Kyle O'Donnell will need replacing there. In terms of who else is going to be in the back row, Frankie Holton, you'd expect him to be there. They've got the likes of Jack Hughes. We know that the likes of Holton can play at that loose forward position as well. It's no doubt about it. The likes of Dwyer, who was exceptional, I felt, against Salford Red Devils. His interchange with Edwin Ipape going to be really interesting. I think the hooking role has become a real problem for Huddersfield this year. Milner, not quite at the races. They've been putting Ash Goulding in there, of course, for me. Ash maybe carrying a little bit of weight. I don't know what your thoughts are with regards to that. Just noticed, actually, Matt English is in the 21-man squad. I thought he was banned. My apologies for that. He must be in. He must be okay. Maybe a reserve game got him away with that one. But yeah, that is the way it is. Ollie Russell as well. I mean, he continues to be considered for a loan move out. I mean, will Ollie Russell find his way back in the side? Will Jake Connor be dropped? Will Russell come back in? Will Lola Hayes drop back to fullback? There's loads of really interesting things on both sides. Who are the fullbacks going to be in this one? Who's going to be playing in the halves? Really, really interesting indeed. The bookies, they, for some unbeknown reason, are saying that Huddersfield Giants are the favourite for this one. Wow, it's going to be a great game. Always is when these two collide. Of course, they played each other earlier in the year, the opening round. And, of course, Huddersfield won that. And they won it by 16 points to 8. That was the game, of course, when Pappy went off and the injury problem started for Lee. It's going to be very interesting to see if Lee can get one back on Huddersfield at the John Smiths this coming Friday night. Right now, let's move across to this game. The Castleford Tigers hosting Hull FC. And again, surprisingly, Castleford 3-2 in the last 5 against Hull FC. We know Hull are in absolute dire straits at the moment. They can't buy a win. The last win coming in round number 3 on March the 3rd. That is a long, long time ago. I can still remember, says American Pie Don McLean. But anyway, that's another story. As for the Castleford Tigers, like I say, they have been finding a little bit of form. Yes, a bad loss to St. Helens last time out. But before that, like I say, a good, real solid win against the Salford Red Devils at home, 32 points to 22. Back that up with a win against the London Broncos, again at home, 40 points to 0, before getting that brilliant draw at the Lee Leopards, 28-all on May the 4th. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Castleford will come into this in fine felt with regards to that. They will want to put on a show at the Jungle. The bookies have them favourites, 4-6, 13-10 for Hull FC. And, you know, at the moment, the mood must be good at Castleford because a lot of players have signed on for 2025 and beyond. Let's hear from those players. And also now let's hear again from Simon Griggs, who spoke ahead of this game.
And I want to repay that. Fans can be ruthless, but I think they've been nothing but the best. I'm buzzing to sign and hopefully we can have a big year.
Let's pack it out at the Jungle for Friday night against Hull FC.
Fans keep packing the Jungle out, which is good. It's obviously a new look Jungle, which is even better for them.
Better times are coming for the club. You can't come through Cass without seeing Cass shirts. You can tell the fans are really passionate and getting behind us, and yeah, just stick by us because I think we're going to progress now, and I think better times are coming for the club.
And it's just a message for the fans who have sang your name throughout a lot of this season.
Yeah, just on the back of the way, I've really enjoyed just playing with that atmosphere at Cass. Like Louis was saying, it's some of the most passionate fans in Super League. I think you can't come through Cass without seeing Cass shirts. It's definitely a rugby town, so it's some. I'm been really enjoying playing my games here, and I'm looking forward to the next couple of years to do so.
I think they've anchored expectation at Cass around what they're spending, who they're signing, where they're putting the money around in line with that AMG stuff. And I think they've been a team of tryhards, but they have got some quality in there as well, some skill in Westerman, Miller. I think Sam Wood's showing some great form in the centres for him as well. There's lots of bits and bobs in there. They're a good side, and they play very well at home as well. So we've got a tough fixture in front of us.
What do you want to see from the team in terms of performances? You were seeing that gradual incline in terms of displays and then drops off at London. So what do you need to get back to?
I'll always be trying to base it on effort, getting our effort where it needs to be and our concentration around how we finish sets, where we finish them. And it sounds as basic as, but we can't be turning that ball over as cheaply as we did on plays 1 and 2 against London if we want to have a chance. But yeah, we're not playing well, we're not where we want to be, but there's still some very good players in that team and we need to get them playing at a level we know we're capable of. And if the individuals do that, the collective are doing it on the same page, we can certainly get better than we have been. But again, it's one game at a time at the moment.
It's the only way that they can do it. I have to say Simon Griggs is pretty much upbeat, isn't he? And I think that's vitally important for that dressing room at Hull FC at this moment in time. We saw there that quite a few players signing on for Castleford going beyond this year. One of them, I think, was a must re-sign, and that was Alex Mellor, since returning against the Warrington Wolves at Halliwell Jones Stadium. He's played 8 times. He scored a try. His work in defence has been pretty solid. I mean, the guy carries the ball for 7.75 metres, an average carry from him. He does a lot of work on the left edge, and I think that left edge with Innes Senior and Sam Wood is a really potent one for the Castleford Tigers. Mellor is absolutely critical to that particular side. It's interesting, isn't it, to see that, having signed his contract, Lewis Senior, who's in great form, you'd have to think there's a little bit of a niggle because he has been left out of this one. I would expect no mention of a injury, but he has been left out. I would expect that there is some sort of injury there. Sylvester Namo, Nixon Putt, Sammy Kibula and Jason Gary in the squad. Gary, of course, just signed a new contract. We've not seen an awful lot from him. He's got great potential. It's time for him to produce. No Jacob Miller. That's an interesting one, isn't it? You look in the house there, really. It's not looking too good. Ron Milne's really the only recognised one that can play in the house. It's going to be interesting. I'd expect maybe Westerman would possibly be put in there potentially. That's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. Or will it be Tex Hoy with Luke Hooley back? Will he put Hooley back at fullback and allow Tex Hoy the number 6 shirt? It's going to be interesting to see what he does around that little hole that Jacob Miller has presented. Of course, Danny Richardson not preferred at the moment for the Castleford Tigers. Of course, also out for the keen amongst you is Fletcher Rooney and Brad Martin. They are the others that have dropped out. There's 4 changes to the 21-man squad that faced the London Broncos in round 11 for Hull FC. Franklin Pele, Joe Cater, Davy Litton and Matty Laidlow are dropping out of the side. But some strong comebacks in the reserves last week for the Black and Whites. One of them, Jack Ashworth, I think they missed him incredibly. He's back in the squad, as is Harvey Barron. Ben Reynolds could make his club debut in this one for the Black and Whites as well. And as you can see there, number 13, the mullet to be feared, Brad Fash, is back for Hull FC. It's going to be interesting, isn't it? Really, really interesting. Should be a good game. I'm really looking forward to this one. It's going to be very interesting to see, these two teams, 10th and 11th. Everybody thought that it would be Castleford Tigers that finished 11th this year. At the moment, Hull FC are beating them for that distinction. And hey, let's not forget, London have got the first 2 points. I used to say that one of these two clubs don't finish bottom of the pile in 2024. It's going to be very, very interesting indeed. This is going to be a bit of a marker for both sides with regards to who will be competing for the wooden spoon this year. Right, let's get over to this one. Normally, this is a great, great fixture, but perhaps injuries will make it not so much so. Saints have got a great record against the Leeds Rhinos over recent years. 4-1 in the last 5. That would actually be 5-1 if we included the Challenge Cup. As you can see there, St. Helens, big win. They needed it as well. They've been a little bit up and down. They've been losing the odd one here and there. Very un-Saints-like, really, but a massive, massive win. 60 points to 4 last time out against the Castleford Tigers. Getting those, combinations going in attack really will have helped them. They're still second. We mustn't forget that. 289 points they've scored this year, 114 in D, 1-11 on. I mean, that's unbelievable. They're playing the Leeds Rhinos and they're 1-11 on. That tells you everything you need to know about what the bookies are thinking over the Leeds problems around their injuries. More on that in a few moments' time. As for the Leeds Rhinos, of course, last time out, they lost 26 points to 0 in Perpignan. Of course, they had a lot of young kids out that day. Injuries really, really bit. But, of course, any team that's nilled is not very good at all. They really have been doing it tough this year. The Rhinos, yet they're still in 7th and they're not a million miles off those top 6 places, just a couple of points. So, they have to have respect. But 13-2, the Leeds Rhinos, that's an interesting one. Do you think that the Rhinos could maybe pose an upset? If you do, might be worth lumping a couple of quid on that. But anyway, the coaches have been talking ahead of this one.
In the game in Super League where they spent 25 minutes at the start of the game running us off the park. So we're well aware of their dangers. They're a really competitive side, very expansive, like to move the ball, and that presents its challenges that we're working hard on in training to overcome.
He's a top quality player, and he's played well this year. He's been, probably amongst our most consistent players. He's a quality competitor and a good all-round player and a key part of what we're doing. So it'll be great to have him back.
What about Harry and his back? Are they back?
Yeah, Harry and his back have settled right down, and he's been in full training this week as well. So pending everything pulls up after today's session, he'll be back in the mix on Friday as well.
And the latest on Paul Momorowski, is he progressing as you'd like as well?
Yeah, he's going really well. He's trying to bring his return date forward, but there's a chance he could be available next week, but it's most likely it'll be after the cup final.
There's a fair chance I'm going to name Ignatius in the 21 this week. Off the back of his performance. Now that's not to necessarily say that he's going to play. We've had a 13v13 on-field session today, which Ignatius has took full part in. I know, again, like a lot of the group, he's the type of guy that, because we are light in the middles at the moment, he would be more than happy to put his hands up to play. But what I've got to do is, get all the information back from the session and make a really educated decision on how we move forward with Ignatius. So there's a chance he could play, but we're certainly not going to rush him into anything unnecessary, because again, like I've said with Morgan, like I've said with Alex down the track, it's important that these guys' long-term health is respected more than anything, and we get them fit and firing at the back end of the season.
They are a little bit different in some things that they're doing, but overall the glue of their team has been together for a long period of time. The way of doing things has been very consistent to some element without ever being inside the walls of that place. There's been consistent characters and coaching staff or senior players that have been there through a very long period of time, and a bunch of their key players have only ever played at one club, and that makes a difference to how things get done. Even a lot of their import players have been there now for a few years, so there's a level of rhythm and cohesion that they have, and they drive their standards really high. They compete well. They've got a high level of skill as well as a high level of experience and athletic ability. So they're a real benchmark amongst a couple other teams in the competition. But you've got to be good to beat St Helens.
Just one thing you said.
Obviously, we had two really hard contests against them earlier on this year. We had two games last year that both went down to golden point wins, where one each way. So that just shows the competitive nature of a Saints League fixture. It seems to always have been that way, and slightly contrasting styles there. I think that makes for an intriguing contest also. But we've got a huge amount of respect for Leeds as a club. Played them in numerous big games throughout the years, and we look forward to again another huge challenge on the weekend.
To start with, we've got a few key players back, which certainly makes a difference. We've got to play better for longer. Is the thing. We battled hard at Catalans, but we didn't have enough clinical sort of finish to our sets, and we let ourselves down at the back end of the game, which meant the score blew out a little bit. So everyone's still sort of hurting from that. We've got to start again, and we've got to play, a good, hard, smart, skillful game of footy to test a team that don't get beaten at home very often.
Lots of mutual respect between the two coaches. You'd expect nothing less. There he is, of course. Number 17 for the Saints, Ignatius Parsi, back by how much they need him, and get it in your diaries. The Lee Leopards take on the Saints at the LSV on July the 28th. Will Asiata be back for that one? Oh, when those two collide once again, it could be fireworks, but that is for the future. This is the present. Of course, you will notice some holes all of a sudden in that squad for the Saints. No Jake Wingfield. He's out for 16 weeks, having had shoulder injury, and T. Ritson is another change from this team as well. Of course, back comes Ignatius Parsi after that MCL and ACL injuries from that Challenge Cup quarter final. He's back, isn't he? And look at that there, number 30, Johnny Vaughan. Oh, the big breakfast ones amongst you. Where's Denise Van Houten? Will she be in the stands? Everybody's asking. It's a different Johnny Vaughan. Don't you worry about that. But yeah, incredible stuff. I mean, just goes to show, look at the strength in depth that St Helens have got. No Alex Wormsley, no Morgan Knowles, no Matt Whitley, no Jake Wingfield, but look at the strength in depth that they've got. They're not a problem. They'll just carry on regardless. They are a quality outfit. We're probably going to see a lot more of James Bell over the coming weeks with the absence of Knowles at loose forward. I, for one, really looking forward to seeing the mighty James Bell in that team for St Helens. As for the Leeds Rhinos, good, interesting 21-man squad. Back Harry Newman, that's the big one, as is Brodie Croft. They really do need them. And look at that at the bottom there, Matty Russell. I mean, dearie me, he's like a Monopoly board, isn't he? He's been in that many teams in Super League. Oh, go and build some houses and hotels, Matty. Dearie me, he doesn't have to travel around the board well. Anyway, but a good player, good pro, brings the ball off the back fence really well. He'll do a shift, the Rhinos. I've got no doubt about that. He may feature, of course, for the Rhinos in this one, because of course no Riley Lum, no David Fossatua. They are still out. Progress is being made by the likes of Paul Momorowski, but he still isn't there. Tom Holroyd hasn't made it. James Bentley still out with HIA. Morgan Gannon, some really bad news coming out of the Leeds Rhinos that Gannon will be missing now for the entire season. That is a big, big blow for the Leeds Rhinos. Is there enough quality there in the Leeds Rhinos team? Absolutely. No doubt about it. Leeds could go there. I mean, last season, they could go there and really turn a number on Saints, but you just do think at the moment, because of lack of match time, the combination piece, all the rest of it, I just don't know. And I think if Matt Frawley plays well, I think a lot of Leeds Rhino fans will roll their eyes. Bottom line is, will it be Sinfield? Will it be Frawley? Big decision there in terms of this game for Rowan Smith. And of course, Rowan Smith having lost to Catalan with players coming back, you do feel that pressure might be mounting a little bit now on Rowan Smith. He needs a good showing, not necessarily a win, but he needs a good showing. Those 3 games are going to be absolutely outstanding. Back tomorrow, Friday, game of the week. It's got to be Warrington going to the Catalan Dragons, the end of the trilogy. We'll review that game in full. We'll also touch on the squads for the Wigan Warriors game against the Salford Red Devils, which will also be announced, won't it, today? We may even hang fire and wait until the London teams have been launched, but I can't promise you anything there. But back tomorrow will be game of the week. We'll do a full in-depth analysis of the Catalan Dragons against the Warrington Wolves. You don't want to miss that one. It's another brilliant news update from Super League Raw. Nobody does it like Super League Raw. Perhaps consider supporting us, become a member. Your money gets reinvested back in so we can keep bringing you these content. I mean, where else are you going to be on Thursday? Mondays, Thursdays, news updates. We do all the hard graft around social media, so we bring you the best stories from, of course, the people that matter, the players and the coaches. There's no spam here. There's no clickbait here. This is Super League Raw. We do it proper. We hope you've enjoyed this news update. Go to the games. Enjoy the games this weekend. Round 12, just hours away. Bring on Super League. We'll see you next time.